call for the opening prayer.
Robert?
Love you, God, our Father in heaven. Thank you for the gift of life and the privilege of living here in this town. Thank you for your hand that's been upon this place and your help that's been given to us over many years. So tonight we once again look to you, Lord, for your help, for your wisdom to guide, for your protection. We thank you for these men and women who have agreed to serve this community. We pray your blessing on them, that you give them special protection, special discernment, your wisdom and guidance as they make decisions in the whole town and region. And we pray, Lord, that you will continue to give strength and help to all the town crews and all the people that work to help make life in this town what it is, enjoyable and safe. And we pray, God, especially that in these next days, you'll, by your Spirit, give us special sensitivity to the things that you want us to hear and see and know, that you can lead us your way into the future. We thank you, Lord. We praise you tonight for your goodness and your faithfulness. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Point of order, please. I would like us to continue with the agenda that we already have and not the new agenda. This is the one we got. This is the way it normally is. This has all been digged around, and I think we should proceed with the agenda we got earlier in the week.
I agree.
As a point of order, I believe that it is it's part of my responsibility to set an agenda that meets the bylaw requirements and allows the council to address the matters that they are set in this agenda. And I just want to clarify one point. The reason for which this agenda has been presented in the sequence that has been presented is because there have been several individuals who have expressed an interest to present to the council about a matter which is in the agenda. So this is not an opportunity for a delegation, but it's an opportunity for someone who is for a particular proposal or does not want a proposal to actually say so before the council takes on the new business of deciding whether or not to pursue certain things or not pursue certain things. So I believe that I am within my rights and my authority as a mayor to follow the bylaw and set the agenda sequence. I do not change the agenda at all. The agenda sequence in the matter that will allow the public who has been here to actually express a statement as part of public presentation and appearances, which state that every person who wishes to say something on a matter of the town's business is allowed 5 minutes with no debate from council on matters of municipal jurisdiction. So I will refer the matter to the clerk, who is the expert on these matters, to provide an opinion as to whether or not the mayor has the prerogative to set the sequence of the agenda that has been decided.
Yes, Your Worship. There is nothing said in the procedure bylaw for the order of the headings of the agenda. So they can be ordered and sequence can be changed at the will of any members of council. And so there is nothing, the headings are certainly outlined in the procedure bylaw. Headings can't be changed. We can introduce a new type of heading without changing the bylaw, but the actual sequence is not outlined in the bylaw.
So just to understand your interpretation, the mayor is not the responsibility of the mayor to set the sequence of the matters.
Yeah, it'd
Okay.
be nothing, no.
So I put the question to the members. There is a motion to keep the agenda that has been presented July 12th it was?
I would like to keep the agenda that we got before.
Which would, can you give me some days so I can actually
This
clarify?
one we got, this one,
On Thursday.
the Thursday one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there is a motion to actually keep the agenda on Thursday, and there is, that is the motion. So the question the question to the floor is, should we allow the agenda that has been presented to us today to be the agenda that will follow today? Anyone who likes to speak on this matter?
I support talking about the new agenda today.
Do you have any reasons or whatever to accept?
Well, it's related to the ACOA fund. I know there's a lot of interest and there's a lot of individuals that are interested, and there's a lot of discussion surrounding the potential of extending the Macadavic Place to a library and to an indoor walking track for seniors. I wanted to present some facts to everyone. May I proceed, or
No.
should I?
The issue right now is because I think I explained my position why I would like. Any other person who would like to speak on the sequence?
Well, I think we should go by the original agenda, because we have representatives here that wish to speak on another topic that is quite important. Therefore, the topic which Alexa was speaking about actually could take one meeting in itself, a special meeting to even go over that whole topic. That's just my views.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other person who likes to offer an opinion on the sequence?
I would like to stick with the Thursday agenda.
Okay, so essentially, I put the question to the floor. Who would like to keep the agenda that has been presented on Thursday?
Aye.
So the ayes have it. So we'll go with the old agenda.
Your Worship, just to clarify for the audience that the old agenda had the statements by members of council and the public presentations towards the end of the agenda, just so that the public's aware that we've moved those 2 points back towards the end of the meeting.
I'm sorry, the presentation that I have prepared is where now?
It would still be in new business. We can certainly cover
The
that
new
still in
business,
new
okay.
business. Yeah.
I just want to see if it's there on my copy.
So you got this one?
I got this one here.
This one, the one we first had?
I don't have that one.
It's the one we first had. That one, that's the original. It's new business A.
I don't have that one that you have.
Be in your book.
This is the original. You another one of that? Can you share mine?
You can share yours. Yes. Okay.
That's the other one.
So the next item in the agenda is approval of minutes of previous council meetings. And the first one is the regular meeting of council on June 14, 2021.
I so move that we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the second topic is special meeting of council, June 29. Approval of the minutes. Who is moving for the
I'll make that
approval?
motion that we accept the minutes of the special meeting of council for June 29th.
And I'll second.
Are these as amended?
Yes, they would be the amendment.
That's the amended, yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this has been passed. Conflict of interest declarations. I want to actually ask the clerk if I would be in conflict with the position that I have put to actually support the town with a $1,000 donation for the design if the town does not want to actually accept to pay for the application to ACOA. So would there be in any conflict with that?
For you to pay for?
If I make a donation to town with the purpose of actually preparing an ACOA presentation, would I be able to get essentially a receipt from the town for this expense? Would I be in a conflict?
I guess it depends on, so you would pay for it and then...
No, I'm not going to, I have made in passing during the preliminary discussions, I have considered that if the town has limited funding to pursue an application for a library, I would be prepared to actually fund the cost of this application. And in that case, I would ask for the town a tax receipt for actually making that donation. Would that put me in any conflict?
Not that I perceive at this time.
Okay,
I guess it just depends on who does the actual presentation. I guess if you're paying a third party, then that would be fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Delegations, we have none. Right? Yeah. That's right.
That's quite nice.
Okay. We are moving to the general reports, general government report.
With general government overview, well 6 on Riverview. We are waiting some electrical power hookup for the well that was with NB Power and the installation of the digital monitoring systems. We're hopeful that this well will come online in September. The St. Mark's Cemetery restoration project, phase 2, we've received funding from the province for this work, and Cement Monuments is expected to start that work this month. Canal Beach rebuild, we're waiting some final, I guess, preliminary illustrations from Silk Stevens, and we plan to meet with Dave Stevens this week on the project and the timeline, and we hope to see an official public announcement in conjunction with the province soon. Road work, a section of the Main Street East in front of Dennis Halls. We're expecting to do some milling there and fixing that rough spot, as well as some patchwork that is tentatively scheduled right now for Armstrong Crescent. And we are also just looking to sort of update our overall paving quote on Armstrong Crescent. Last one we had there was in 2019. On Monday, actually on Tuesday, the Splash Pad Company will be here tomorrow to run some water lines, and we'll pour final floor in the mechanical building. Soon after the construction of the small building, we'll do some complete some landscaping work as well. Street lining is expected to occur in mid-August. This delay has been due to supply issues with road paint by contractors. We are going to, as far as our exit 52, the property out across from H&R Block, the town does own that property. We did put an RFP out for, it was an invite RFP. For those interested for a retail commercial development. We did have some interest, but no one actually submitted an RFP. It's just citing that a high construction cost is the issue right now. Day of Interest Center, so we're looking at doing some repairs at the Day of Interest Center with bandstand bleachers. We've also installed no wake zones in the area in front of Ed Cousins and the Day of Interest Center. The upper bridge crosswalk beacons have been completed. Those are the ones across in the upper bridge, Upper Falls. Parking lots. We have, myself, bylaw enforcement officer Pat, we've conducted some off-hour patrols of the cul-de-sacs in town. Those basically the Manor Road and Little Lane to try to deter loitering and littering. We've also presented that to the RCMP for increase in patrols. And fence at the J.O. Spinney complex up here at the Macadavic Center. We've received 50% funding from RDC in repairing the chain link fences at the playground at the end of the ball field as well, and we hope to have this completed this month. We're doing some preliminary work looking at well 2. Well 2 was part of an upgrade project with the introduction of well 6. So we want to continue that work. That would bring additional water volumes into the system. Certainly there's been some residential complaints that we've received on the Hillcrest subdivision, Armstrong Crescent area. We have some summer workers. 2 summer students have started with the town, Carter Dewar and Josie Chevry. And that is all I have, Your Worship. Thank you.
There was a matter in the previous agenda that I have seen that spoke of an issue with respect to a crosswalk at the elementary school.
That would have been under the correspondence? Yes,
Okay,
under
you put it under
correspondence.
correspondence,
Yep.
okay, I thought it would be transportation, but, okay. Anyone has a comment or question on this matter? Okay, we'll move to item 8, bills paid and payable in principle to June 30th. On the amount $483,090.28
Further reports that,
Oh,
before we jump on
I'm sorry,
to
I thought that you moved to the transportation, okay.
EMO?
Okay, I'm sorry, yes, okay. Go ahead with the EMO, yes, sorry.
Yeah, just for the EMO report, our zone, Zone 2, remains in yellow phase. As of today, July the 11th, there are 6 active cases in our zone. There are no active cases. No New Brunswick residents are in hospital. Since the start of the pandemic, there have been 2,336 confirmed cases and 46 unfortunate related deaths. There have been, to date, 2,291 total vaccinations administered. And just a little less than that, first doses, and 353,000 second dose. So well on our way with being vaccinated. Residents are reminded that everyone age 12 and older is eligible to get vaccinated. You can book your vaccinations at the region's clinic, the Garcelon Center in St. Stephen, by visiting the online booking portal via the link at gnb.ca. Residents can also arrange vaccinations by contacting their local pharmacy. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Okay. Any questions? So fire report.
I believe that Chief Morton didn't know if he was going to make it there today, but I can certainly read that. The fire department report submitted by Chief Morton. For the month of June, we responded to 7 incidents. 2 of the incidents were inside the town, and 5 of the incidents were outside the town. The breakdown of these calls are as follow: motor vehicle accident 3, alarm 1, structure fire 1, ambulance assist 1, and rubbish fire is 1. For training, firefighters continue to work towards certification as Fire Officer 1 and Fire Apparatus Driver Operator. Deputy Chief Derek Hatt and I met with JDI officials at the Lake Etopia pulp mill to debrief after the chip fire pile. Discussions were positive. Procedures and equipment are being upgraded to reflect the experiences gained from this incident. Equipment, a review of the SCBA has been conducted, and recommendations will be forwarded to the CAO and committee in this regard. 3 sets of bunker gear will be ordered in 2021 under the budget. Gas detector is currently out of service and awaiting a replacement sensor, and that was submitted by Chief Sean Morton.
Thank you. Any questions on the fire? Building and planning report. I think it's for Alex.
Do you want me to do it from the microphone or from here?
You go to the microphone. I think it's better. It's easier.
All right, so the planners at the commission were still working on the background report for the St. George Municipal Plan. As I mentioned at the last council, the municipal plan is due for an update. It's been 10 years since the previous one, so it's a good opportunity for council to provide its strategic views about where it wants to go with growth and development. So I'm kind of putting the ball in your court as to how you'd like to communicate that. If you'd like to do a special meeting or something like that, we'd totally like to attend and, you know, walk you through that process if that's something you're interested in. Otherwise, however you'd like to see to do that, we're open to that. So just put that with you guys. But we do seek your views and strategic direction so we can incorporate that from the early foundational document. Just on development in general, there's been 12 building permits issued so far in 2021. Total value is close to 13 million, so it's very high. 15 development permits have been issued so far, and the value is just about $1.5 million to this point in this year. The development officers at SMBSC issued one administrative variance for a setback actually for this property for the mechanical room associated with the splash pad. There was 2 sign permits issued that was unchanged and 1 subdivision approved this year that's unchanged numbers. In terms of building inspection update, our building inspectors have been participating in training related to the Building Code Administration Act. So this is involving the learning of new National Building Code 2015 and National Energy Code, but also we're working with them now, or we'll be participating in some sessions they have about some of the administrative changes around electrical waivers. So there's been just a lot of different changes associated with the building code and administration of it. So we've been keeping abreast of those changes, but they've been rapid. So other than that, that's just a kind of a broad overview. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
I have 2 questions.
Sure.
With regards to the municipal plan, I'm sure that you have read the existing one.
Yes.
There is a saying that says, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you see broken with the existing plan?
Well, every municipal plan, when it comes time to be updated, there's always things to be fixed. But you're right. If there's some good material in there, good policy and good directions, then you're well advised to keep them. So it really is, it comes down to where does council want to see growth in the future? What are your development priorities? And how can we work that with the current municipal plan if there's workable policy in there? And if not, maybe we're talking about developing new policies and new proposals for the municipality to consider. So it's until we really dig into that and contrast council's priorities with the plan as it is, we won't be able to know exactly what needs to be changed. So,
well, I'm asking you to actually tell me if, in your opinion as expert, the current municipal plan, if there is anything in there that requires fixing.
Yeah, one thing I would suggest right off the top, which when we've been doing our mapping and we've been looking at St. George's physical footprint, the way the municipal plan maps your future growth areas, it is fairly broad and doesn't really take into consideration specific properties that are more developable than others. It just does a broad stroke east and west. I don't know if you have a look at it, there's a map associated with future growth areas. I would suggest to council, and obviously this is going to be your document, so you have to say yes or no to this, but I would suggest to council to look at more specific locations that are easily developable for residential development, for example, or industrial or commercial. And I think we've gone through a kind of a preliminary process, talked with Jason, talked with the works foreman about infrastructure capacity in different areas that could accommodate growth, and looking at topography, access, so on. So we have some, I think, good suggestions so far, and we'd be happy to present those.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
My second question relates, is a broader question. I'd like to understand the service that you provide with regard to development of new industrial facilities. Are you the expert center which will advise us on what we should be watching?
So when it comes to industrial growth in general, we will provide you recommendations on this. So we have a whole chapter devoted in the background study on industrial growth and opportunities and what you should be looking at with things like your industrial park or different areas of the municipality you might not have considered before. So there could be new opportunities. One of the things that we're thinking about right now is the potential for logistics and more in terms of that kind of warehousing. Obviously, the food processing will be a continually growing and important area, but that as a kind of a, how do you diversify as well to ramp up the growth? That is one area where if you can get into that, it opens a sort of can of worms of new economic development opportunities. So when it comes to having that in your industrial park or in a different location in the municipality, probably something to think about. So we're thinking about how you would develop that into your policy and proposals and zoning and so on. So
I'm more concerned about how much you can help us. You mentioned the can of worms with regards to potential liabilities that we may be incurring with regards to waste management or lagoons, for example.
perhaps I used the wrong analogy. I meant it in a positive sense. So
can of worms is an appropriate word.
and maybe looking at it in the inverse. Yeah. So there can be, and there's always these things to think about. So yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to challenges that this municipality may face as a result of potential developments, are you the agency that will advise us on the potential liabilities that as a town will be incurring with certain types of development?
Yeah, when it comes to land use and development, that's what we're experts in. So we're going to look at the land use impacts of particular types of developments, giving you advice as to where you should consider locating them. So this is absolutely part of the analysis we'll provide you.
Thank you. Anyone has any other question? Okay. Thank you very much, Alexa.
Thanks.
Which other one? Okay. Water and sewage report.
Thank you, Worship. Water and wastewater report for June, prepared by Public Works Foreman Leonard Lee. Average water consumption for May was at 1,708 cubic meters for a total of 51,115 cubic meters. There was no total coliform or E. coli reported. Water levels are low, especially in well number 4. A problem with HPCs at well number 2 caused the well to be sidelined for a short time. While we shocked the well with chlorine and flushed it, HPCs are an indication that something is going on in the well. However, there was no immediate health risk to the public. There was no E. coli or total coliform reported. Well number 6 is nearly completed. Some landscaping needs to be done and some electrical inside. Major concern is the lack of power. NB Power has not hooked it up as of yet. Contacted NB Power and have a commitment date of July the 20th. We have also installed plastic sheeting inside on 2 walls to cover the sheetrock that was installed on the walls by order of the building inspector. A water and sewage lateral was installed on South Street for private property. Fire hydrant was repaired on Macadavic Drive. The department has begun painting the hydrants and should be completed by the end of July. Some gate valve boxes on Main Street East have been cleaned out in anticipation of street repairs. The lagoon has been switched back to parallel operations after high total suspended solids in March and April. May results are back to normal, and that results were also included in the report. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions? I have one question. I have alerted you to a mining claim that I have informed by a resident that is on or near our wells on Lake Utopia. Have you been able to confirm if there has been a mining claim awarded on that land?
Nothing as of yet. No, we've not received any type of advisement that there's been a new claim or an adjustment claim in that property out at well 4 and 5.
Thank you. Thank you. Transportation report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Transportation report for June, prepared by Leonard Lee, Public Works Foreman. 2 new cast iron planters have been installed at each end of the town along with the new flagpole in front of the town hall. Graduation banners were put up on the 14th of the month. The summer banners were put away perhaps for the year. Canada flags were put up on the buildings on Main Street. School zone lights were shut off for the summer. The summer floats were put in for the summer at Canal. Some work was done at Canal in the canteen. Basically, some exterior work was done around the canteen. Vehicle number 4 was serviced and new rear tires were installed on vehicle number 1. The boom flail mower was installed on the trackless and the machine was put into service. This began the mowing season for the machine, with it mowing the trails and roadsides. The summer students have started and have taken over the mowing, garbage collection, and watering flowers from the full-time staff as they deal with infrastructure. Anti-skid slats were installed at the ramp, at the Day Adventure Center, docks, and a safety railing was also extended. Some of the planks on the bleachers at the ball field were replaced. The infield was dragged, and the fencing has been on order for the outfield at the east side as well as the east side of the playground. Work on the splash pad is progressing. We installed the footings, the walls, and the mechanical building with the help of a local contractor. Some landscaping was done, but the piping is not yet done as of yet. We have been working away at the asphalt patching as time allows. Most of the water break areas from the winter have been repaired, and we will work away at skim patching some of the other streets. Painting is nearly completed on the streets after we painted the arrows on Mount Pleasant Road and Thunder Bay Drive. We will, as usual, touch up the crosswalks before school starts in September. The center line is scheduled to be done in August. Curb and gutter work has been completed on Brunswick Street, Main Street, Riverview, and Main Street East. And that is a transportation report.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any idea when the splash pad will be finished? It would be nice to have it for the summer.
It would definitely be nice, yeah. We've just been stalled on that for so long. I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks we at least have the power going to it. We've had a work order in to get a power pole placed since March. So much like well 6,
Right.
getting power hooked up to buildings seems to be a multi-month delay.
And that's
So.
with NB Power.
NB Power, yeah.
We'll move on to item 8.
That's right, I'm sharing your.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bills paid and payable, in principle to June 30th, in the amount of $483,928.85. Any questions on this bills payable and paid?
$045,889. What is that? Is that an error? Or?
889?
Yeah, it's on page 4.
Yep, there was basically a water payment that was made
Okay.
in error. He actually thought he was paying his property tax.
Yeah, okay, good.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Any other question?
I have a question around the Granite Town Hotel being paid the $850. I'd just like an explanation.
That was payment for the work that was done to receive a variance. We sought a variance from the landowner. That was his consultant fee, a bit of a middleman, I guess, a translator or somebody that was a business consultant for him. And so the Granite Town Hotel has asked us to cover that cost. So we wouldn't have been able to build the mechanical building without the variance. So we agreed to pay the cost.
Any other question?
I've got one. Cleaning services for the doctor's office, is that reimbursed from the doctor's office themselves? Okay, just curious.
Any other question?
I do have a question around the 2021 repairs on the new vehicle, on the truck. I'm just curious as to if there's no warranty on those repairs?
Do you know what it's for? What's the repairs for?
It doesn't say, it just says 2021 repairs.
There was basically some accessories that were put on the truck, like a prevention bar, I guess. I'm not sure terminology of trucks, but it was sort of a bit of a back rack. Yes, thank you. So that would have been put under the repairs
I see. Okay.
budget line.
The 1676 for a solicitor, is that just we have some action going, or is this?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was a retainer or something.
Any other question?
I make the motion that we accept the payables.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it has passed. New business. I will move to adjourn for 5 minutes, just for 5 minutes for anyone, any problem? Adjourn for 5 minutes.
Test.
New business.
Yeah, okay.
New business. New business AA. Amendment of Policy 53, the collection of utility service fees and termination of services.
Yes,
Jason,
Your
you have the floor.
Yes, Your Worship. So this is policy 53, originally 53A, I believe it was 2021, sorry, 53A 2019. So this policy just being to be updated to 53B 2021. What we will be looking at doing is adding a shut-off day of the third Wednesday of September. Right now we have a shut-off day of the first Monday of April. So this policy would allow for a shut-off date of the third Wednesday of September. So council has copies of this. It's item number 3 under section 2. So section 2, subsection 3. So that would be the update for this policy.
So essentially, you are asking for the council to put a motion to amend the policy 53 to allow for shut-off this September.
Yes.
For the certain outstanding accounts. The motion is on, I guess, the question. Any questions about this motion?
Who made the motion? Sorry.
I ask.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we change the date.
No, I ask questions.
Oh, sorry, I thought
Questions.
you wanted me to do the
Yeah,
motion,
sorry.
sorry.
Any questions on the motion? I have some questions. There is an expression that says, don't punch a man when he's down, you can kick him easier. And we're in the middle of a COVID. People are stressed, their finances are stressed. And I'm just wondering, and I'm asking the councillors to consider if it's insensitive to actually consider shutting off water, particularly when in the middle of a pandemic. So Anyone wants to actually add to this? Any question? Any comment before I put to the motion?
I do have a comment around the 45 days, the letters that have gone out and the ability to gain those funds. Has that been followed?
Yes, after 45 days, we will follow up with any delinquent accounts. Yes, yep.
And the opportunity to pay monthly and all of that has been offered?
Yep, we've offered the ability to pay down through weekly or monthly installments. We've also worked with Service New Brunswick to allow for payments now that can be done through Service New Brunswick online. So that's sort of an added area for residents to pay. So certainly, one of the first things we usually will do with delinquent accounts is check to see, last payments. If an account has been delinquent for, for over a year or two, should be just at a year now. If we don't see any payments, then certainly that does draw our attention. And, usually the first one's on the list. If we're seeing some attempts monthly to pay on the account, that certainly helps matters. Definitely, yeah.
Any other question?
Regarding COVID, I realize that COVID's been quite a challenge, and some of these are way before COVID, are they not? Some of these.
This will be looking mainly at the 2020 years.
Okay.
Yeah. 2020.
Thank you.
Can I ask, now that we are part of the Service New Brunswick collection or payment, has there been any thought of actually realigning our policy with the policy of all other utilities in New Brunswick, like NB Power, and have a service fee if there is a delay?
That's been looked at in the past by previous councils of adding interest on accounts. So that has been looked at. It's been brought forward into bylaws, and it's been brought out of bylaws for a variety of different reasons. I can't speak on those councils of the past or what the decisions were, but they have been looked at in the past. So, if we look at other utilities such as NB Power, they do charge a rate, an interest rate, or based off of your billing. That's something that we don't do. There are some other municipalities under water sewage that also charge an interest rate. There are some, such as St. George, that does not.
So how many accounts? How many overdue accounts are due for shut off this?
I guess looking through them right now, we're looking at there's probably 12 to 15 accounts that would probably be looked at that would receive some letters if we're looking at September shutoffs.
And these are all pre-COVID?
Yes, 2020, yeah.
They will be all pre-COVID.
2020, yeah.
Any other question? So I put the motion to the floor. The question to the floor, actually, should we proceed with the proposed shut-off decision that the CAO has proposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Just looking for a motion there, I guess. Yeah, first we need a motion.
I'll make that motion that we have an extra shut off.
I'll second it.
So all in favor? Aye. And all opposed? Aye. So the motion has passed. Where was the other thing there?
Oh, we just did that, so community fund.
Yes, St. George Community Fund. St. George Community Fund via the Fundy Community Foundation. Do you want to introduce the matter, Jason?
Yes, Your Worship. From the Fundy Community Foundation, they have a St. George Community Fund. It's an endowment fund that's held with the Fundy Community Foundation. Basically, each year, sometimes not annually, sometimes it's every other year, but most part it's annually, they seek input from the Town of St. George. The Town of St. George is the advisory committee for the grant recipient. In years past, previous councils have decided on a single recipient of this. And some of those have included, we've got Your Back's Foundation, which is a school backpack program. We did St. George Elementary School breakfast program, the St. George Area Food Bank, and I think most recently was MAD Charlotte County, who would have been the recipient of this endowment fund. So they're just looking for input on who the council would like to see to be the recipient this year. Certainly there's those ones that have mentioned in the past. There could be someone new that that could be raised here today to be a recipient. So.
Myself personally, I'd like to see it go to a breakfast program because children can't learn if they're hungry. And so if we have the money to put to one thing rather than split it up into 4 or 5 things, I myself vote for a breakfast program at the schools.
Yeah, it would have been a couple of years, at least a few years ago, that we would have done that. It's been a while since we've done the breakfast program.
But that's just my personal opinion.
So there is a motion.
I second that.
So the motion is that all the funds in this fund be directed to the breakfast program of the schools. And seconded?
I second it.
Barb?
I seconded, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is the Coastal Link Trail. Jason? want to introduce?
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess this is just something that we would need to look at to bring forward to either move ahead with or to modify or to not support the Coastal Link Trail. This is a trail of a project that will seek to upgrade some of the existing trails that are in St. George. Primarily what we're looking at here today is the upgrade, the investment into the former rail line, which is south of Main Street, and to bring that up to the engineering specs that have been presented by Coastal Link. In the past, we've had members in the previous council sit on the board for Coastal Link. I think if there was just some little bit of loose ends that were earlier this year, and it was all set to sort of happen, of course, but we sort of were delayed on starting that project. So it was certainly the move forward was previous to this council, but we're now at the point now where certainly this council has the decision to make on whether to support the project, whether it's altered or whether or not to support the project. I'll just point out that we do have some folks here from Regional Service Commission and particularly Coastal Link Trail that can answer some questions. But I think we just have really had the three options, and one of the options was to go with the proposed trail as it's been sort of drafted, where the primary users are non-motorized users, and during the winter months would be Snowmobile Association with their license of occupation on this Crown land. Or two, to support the Coastal Link with the condition of allowing for a motorized a trail to be maybe proposed and built in a future date within that former right-of-way, that former Crown land, that former Crown land, that former rail line. Certainly that would allow for any additional trail to be developed if it was council's wishes. And then the third would just be not to support the Coastal Link in its investment into the town of St. George.
I have a question. The proposed configuration as comes from the trail proposal allows winter snowmobiles on that trail?
Yes, as of right now, with the province, with DNR, the Snowmobile Federation has a license of occupation for the winter months. It's only a few months, so they would use that section of trail. They would certainly groom it, and
so that's a motorized use.
It would be a motorized use, yes, for that time period.
Okay, so any other question?
Option number 2, there is room for an additional trail to be built on the other side, one side or the other. like, I'm mentally challenged when I look at those drone pictures that you sent us. So they could have the Coastal Link Trail, and there could be an additional other trail, one side or the other. Am I correct? Is that?
I'll just defer to Sherry if you want to.
Yes.
Yes, please.
I had presented Mr. Godet some solutions, as I understand there has been a lot of concern from the local losing access to use that trail. And I wanted to point out that in the north, the Velo Route Peninsula Acadienne, so the Shediac-Chaleur region, there is a current multi-use trail system there where one side there is a paved walking and cycling trail. Then if there's space that permits, there's approximately a 1.5 foot buffer, or it could be as great as a 4-foot buffer, and then a separate unpaved trail that motorized users can use. And it has worked out very well. All trail groups have worked cooperatively in this instance, and what I have done is assess the current right-of-way, excuse me, mask keeps falling down, the current right-of-way alignment within the project area that we're speaking of. We have more than enough space to accommodate both trail groups. So I do think that is an option that if the local ATV club wishes to pursue, or just to note that it's not one or the other, there can be both. And I do have it's in French. I didn't have an opportunity, but I do have the design standard that that trail group has used, and is also being looked at for consideration within the region as well, and is something that the town could consider.
I'd be interested in seeing what they proposed up north, even though it's in French. I can read it, can't speak it.
Well, they've done some reading up. I can bring copies for everybody. If everybody would.
I have a question. The safety case for mixed use in the winter, why does not cover ATVs anyways? If it's a motorized use is an ATV, or why we are bringing the ATV as a separate issue? If there is an existing, I guess, proposal which allows anyways the snowmobiles, why we even discuss the ATVs?
Well, these lands are owned by their Crown lands, so ultimately the Crown lands has the final decision. I did make the case that there is instances in other parts of the province where ATV, snowmobile, multi-users, all users use and share the trail year-round. However, they do not have an example of that instance on a Crown land. And because the Snowmobile Federation has an exclusive use of license of operation between April 15th and December 15th, that means that no pedestrians can be on that trail.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's important. No
Yes.
pedestrian can be during the winter, like so essentially cross-country skiing cannot happen there.
That's correct. So it would
Okay,
be
that's
closed to
important.
pedestrian users during
We
the
don't have a
winter.
say on that.
We do not.
We do not have a say on that.
No.
Okay. My other question is, do as a town incur any liability, either to maintain it or a liability for an accident that may happen there?
As far as liability to maintain it, the agreement with Coastal Link is once it's developed, we would maintain it as a town. But as far as liabilities for accidents, I mean, it would fall under, we would take on sort of a license of occupation just like any other group would.
So that's an additional liability
So we
on
would
our
take,
insurance.
exactly.
And an additional cost on our budget for maintaining it.
Right, exactly.
Do you know how much is that cost?
We don't. Looking at,
Or there may be an answer on the back.
Yep.
Okay, please.
So we have assessed, Tennessee Trail is currently operating where they have some mobile users using that trail in the winter months. It's essentially the same trail structure that we are proposing to implement in the town of St. George. The town in St. Stephen has they did note that the National Trans-Canada Trail Association, which supposedly the trail is registered with, affords the municipality to tap into grants for maintenance and operation as well. And so with the town of St. George, if this project were to go forward, it would be subsequently registered with the Trans-Canada Trail Network, and the town would be afforded the opportunity to apply for grants for maintenance and even potentially some summer food staff or seasonal staff to assist with the tourism if it was deemed necessary.
Okay, so just to summarize what you said, if we agree to actually go with your proposal, or the proposal that you are bringing forward, we have to be responsible for these funds and hope that somebody is going to supply us with the funds to maintain it. There are no guarantees.
I would say that that's correct.
Correct. And the second is, Jason, we'll have to incur some additional liability on these trails on top of what we have for, say, the Adventure Center or whatever.
Yeah, much like the trails we have today.
Okay. Do you know how much is the addition for this one?
Additional liability on, like, for insurance,
Yes.
public liability, I would not know, no.
So essentially, we're making a decision without knowing the potential consequences on that one.
Right, I mean, it would be much the same as the current trails, which we pay around $1,200 a year for the trails. I don't think adding extra, like 2 kilometers more is going to be much more than that. I mean, I wouldn't know the exact figure of what that would be, that liability of adding that.
Can I ask, would that in any ways, if we don't agree with the work, would that thing affect at all the ATVers or the snowmobilers or whatever?
Well, as of today, the ATVers are not permitted on that trail.
And if we agree, they would be permitted?
They wouldn't be. They'd have to go through.
Again.
They'd have to go through the province.
Essentially, right now, we just approved to get a liability.
We would be approving. Yeah, yes. I mean, I suppose
Yes,
we
yes.
would be. I mean, we'd be introducing more fitness trails. And
That's worrisome. Any other question? Please go ahead.
Did I understand you right? You were going to use it, but in the wintertime it couldn't be used for walking?
That's correct. Well,
Really?
we would like to, but the province will not allow.
Yeah. But even where it's going, snowmobile or ATV, there's no place to go when you get to the end. So it's
that's right.
you know, you're just taking it. That was my question, whether it was usable or not for the whole year.
As of today, the Snowmobile Federation would have a license of occupation on that trail. Not to say that, you know, when that comes up for renewal, that the province would say that that's want to do, or the federation themselves would want to do it, since we are going to look at an asphalt surface. For the groomer to do grooming on an asphalt surface of snow, you have to have a fair good pack. They may choose not to do it.
When they come out to the end, they're on a road.
That's right.
So you can't do that.
Yeah, very much an end of the line.
Well, any other question? I will put the question to the floor as to whether or not we should be supporting any sort of engagement in this project, which adds to our liabilities and to our operating costs. I want to. You want to second it?
No, I just want to ask a question. If we don't support it, we lose everything in funding, right? Is that correct? So we either support it or we don't support it. And if we do support it, what section, 1, 2, or 3 option do we vote to support? And this has been going on for quite some time, am I correct in assuming that? So I think that a decision should be made, number 1, do we support it? And at what level do we support, 1, 2, or 3? And if I'm not correct, somebody correct me, please. And that should be decided tonight, because we can't keep the coastal trail up in the air waiting for us to make a decision.
Well, can I suggest that what I have put forward for secondment follows what you are saying? We first decide if we're going to support it or not, and then we'll decide if we have to actually allow the option for the ATVs to get out in there. Am I correct, Jason?
Yeah, it's either we support it, we don't, and if we do support it, is it an option of a single trail or 2 side by
Two
side?
questions.
I understand that.
Yeah,
So, yeah, first of all, we should vote whether we're going to support it or not,
Yeah.
right?
that's correct.
Am I correct?
Sounds disappointing.
So it's fully funded, is it not?
The project is still already, we have 5 million
at no cost to the town?
Until the day that we complete. Until the day that we complete, then it becomes the town's liability.
The liability, that's correct. But as far as actual money we're putting out, you're doing it.
And just, Your Worship, just one point to make is, if we did go with the option of a trail side by side, you know, that motorized trail would be something that would have to be proposed if one of the motor vehicle clubs decide that they want to sort of build that would have to go through, it's just like Coastal Link, it would have to go through its own grading and understanding that, making sure that it's safe where it's located, and funded again by another organization. We wouldn't want to sort of, you know, leave here today thinking that, you know, that we're going to fund, the town's going to fund a motorized development trail, but that certainly would be an option.
With that organization, whoever that organization
That's
may
right.
be. Okay.
Can I ask you, is there any hard deadline that we have to make a decision today?
Yes.
Let me ask.
Yeah, I would say that would be certainly in the town's best interest to be making some decision on this.
My only concern is that right now you have not provided us with the figures about the size of our liability. You estimate it, and I don't think we have another ATV trail in our town, or another snowmobile trail in our town. So it's a new type of risk that we are taking on.
So just to clarify too, we don't take the liability on of the snowmobile trail. When the snowmobile is operating, when those members are operating on that trail, they're operating under their license of occupation from the province.
Okay.
So, you know, so if there's somebody walking there and there's...
They cannot sue the town.
That's right.
That's very important. That's very important.
It would ultimately follow, you know, the license of occupation.
Okay.
Do we need a decision tonight? We really do? Yes, we do. Is that what you're saying?
Do we need a decision tonight?
Because we lose the money?
Do we need a decision tonight?
If we wish to have the project completed this year, it would be advisable.
You mean this fiscal year by April?
Well, when I say that, construction season. So if we want to be able to pave and have this project completed this construction season, yes, I would not suggest we defer any further unless we want to, otherwise the project can go into the fall.
So the motion to the floor is whether or not, I'm going to break down the question into two votes. The first vote is, does the town supports the taking on the funding on the trail, given what we have discussed about liabilities and potential costs that may ensue? Do I have a motion to approve the adoption of that funding, or accept this funding that they're giving us?
I make a motion that we accept that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
There's a second part.
And there is a second part, yes, and that is, should we keep the definition of the use as proposed, or we should allow the option to actually adopt a second trail next to that trail for ATVs?
Where's the ATVs going to go?
May I suggest that we take,
Just to clarify, again, the motion is not to approve the ATVs used today. The motion is to allow, potentially, if the ATVs come up with a safety case or the ability to actually extend the trail to accommodate 2 lanes, that we may approve it. The question that remains is where the ATVs are going to go. But is that the question that we have to be discussing today? Because we don't know what they want, or you know, all we have on the floor is should we keep the option open for the ATVers to define extra space to put an extra lane to actually come to us and get a variance on the uses that exist right now with what we have just accepted, right? So
option 1 or option 2?
Option 2.
And I would vote for option 2.
And I would vote for
Clarify
option
what-
2.
what one is first.
Yeah.
Gives the two for sure.
Yeah.
Option 1 is what?
Option 1 would be just the single use. Option 2 would be,
You
a secondary trail
Yeah.
But the option of.
possibility,
Yeah.
yes. Yep.
there is no single option. There is an occupational use for snowmobiles anyways. There is no option 1 that has
I guess we're
non-motorized.
talking about, ATV,
Okay.
ATV on the, development later on, all season, yep.
I make
So-
the motion that we accept option 2.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against it? Motion passed.
Yeah, special meetings.
Oh, yes. Upcoming special meetings on local governance reform. I have introduced the subject to the councillors in conversations before the meeting that perhaps we should consider holding some hearings with our residents and our neighbors about what we would like to put into the consultation process of the province for the municipal restructuring. I have been talking to the mayors of our adjacent municipalities, Blacks, St. Andrews and St. Stephen, to actually seek their opinion about how we should proceed. Perhaps we can put a common communique in. Just for information, other municipalities, particularly the large cities, have already done so. They have submitted positions to the minister on the upcoming plan. So there has been a proposal that we hold 2 meetings, one meeting for hearings, and another meeting for the council to debate the position that we want to put forward. So I believe there is a proposal to hold 2 special meetings for this purpose.
Yes, Your Worship, just to highlight that would be a special council meeting July the 19th for council to hear special interest groups and residents on the views on the topic of the upcoming municipal reform. And then another special council meeting August the 3rd for council to debate and finalize the town's position on municipal restructuring.
So just, can you repeat the dates? July 19 for the hearings and?
And August the 3rd for the...
August the 3rd. August the 3rd. Questions?
So August the 3rd would be our voting night? Is that what you're
Hopefully the
saying?
debate on the voting, yes. We have discussed
Okay.
the inputs from our residents and potentially feedback from other municipalities who may want to actually.
So the 19th is your public meeting and the 3rd
July
is the
19,
council.
July 19 is supposed to be is a date that we're going to advertise for hearings, inviting positions from our residents about the upcoming restructuring. So do I have a motion to actually put forward?
We need a motion. You yourself
The
has made...
council has to approve it.
Yeah,
To approve it. Okay,
you do
so
that as well, too. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm saying
Are we asking residents, which is great, I don't mean that, but are we inviting the LSDs to come as well, or are we just doing it from our perspective?
the way that I will phrase it is the municipality of St. George invites input from the public on our position, or the municipality's position on the upcoming hearing. on the upcoming consultation process. So, for example, if the LSD, and we have a member from the LSD, I believe, right? Oh, you have two members from the LSDs. Okay, they decide to come up and give us some feedback. I know there are several people who actually there is a Penfield, there is the Back Bay area, who also want to do similar type of consultation. So, and of course, our residents, because at the end, this is a council meeting of St. George, not of other municipalities or regions, St. George. I had the motion to actually, I guess, put forward, and it's seconded to actually have these meetings?
I second it.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All business, none. Correspondence. Am I correct? Or I'm following up the right thing?
I don't even see correspondence.
Hold on, please. All business? Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're
We're
down
done
to
that.
this one, you're down to the presentation.
Where is it?
Here, you're here because we just, yeah.
That's not here.
And this is the Canada Community Revitalization.
Oh, yes.
That's what that
So Canada Community Revitalization. They did not even put a number on it.
No.
Is that an item in the agenda?
That's,
Is there
yeah.
no agenda item?
Yeah,
Is there an E?
Yeah.
There is an AE, Canada Community Revitalization Fund.
Yes, so that's the ECOA application.
That's the account.
Okay, thank you. I have a short presentation that should not take more than 5 or 10 minutes. And I just want to preface this presentation by saying that this proposal is not intended to compete with any other proposals for sports complexes in Eastern Charlotte or Western Charlotte or Southern Charlotte. This is a St. George proposal about meeting a St. George needs for our seniors and our disabled who right now do not have access to a library and who in the winter need some walking and they don't have a space to walk. So I will start that this is a proposal to seek ACOA funding to expand the Magadevic facilities by adding in a detached but linked to this building extension a library, a town library, and an indoor walking track and an exercise space. Essentially, what I'm just so actually you can take a look at this picture. What I'm proposing is extending with some sort of a link, which will take care, which will connect to this building and extend towards the ball field, a new addition. So let's go to the next slide, please. And just to identify the community needs, because it's very important to do something that our community needs and not something that a consultant may have come up. This town needs a library that's accessible to all ages and to our disabled people, a place where they can check out a book, read a newspaper, access high-speed internet if they cannot afford access, and also house extracurricular adult activities like a classroom or a space where people can do a drawing class or do class on jewelry making or exhibit their work. We have quite a lot of artists here. We have an artist there also. And I think there's another artist on the background there. So that is one of the two goals, to have an accessible town library. And the second one is an indoor walking track that will allow some space for low-intensity exercise, like stretching. If you get too sophisticated, I will use the word yoga. But fundamentally, it's a place where seniors and not so seniors can get in the winter, hopefully in a place that is going to be to the sun, not in a basement, and walk and do some physical activity, low intensity activity. It's not a gym, it's not a sports complex, it's a place where me and Jim and some other seniors who don't want to be called seniors can go and walk and without the hazard of having an accident. So let's go to the next, please. Just for illustration, I want to actually demonstrate our existing state of the St. George Library, which is upstairs. And as the sign says, our existing library is not accessible by handicapped or disabled, physically disabled people, and by most of our seniors. I believe on this table there are some volunteers who have stopped volunteering to support this library because it's so difficult to actually climb up there. So can you move to the next one, please? And this is a brief demonstration so people can understand what we are talking about. This is a fairly able senior who is You disagree? Okay. You see, it's pretty jumpy, but it demonstrates the challenge of actually climbing these narrow stairs. Okay? So can you go to the next one, please? Another thing to note is about the size of our existing library. And the present seating capacity is very telling. We have one table, which is demonstrated in this picture, which sits between two bookshelves. Actually, it's very interesting to see how full the shelves are. We have some nice origami places to actually fill up the space, but fundamentally we have two chairs. And there is a computer on the back, which I believe is a residue of older times, and we have forgotten to throw it out. Okay, so it's not a place to actually access the internet, or it just stands for the background, takes space. We have a lot of junk in this town. We do not have yet to actually got to the decision to throw it out, but this is our library. So our library has space for one table and two seats, and the single table now blocks the corridor between the bookshelves. Can I have the next one, please? So we spoke about the library. The issue is about indoor walking opportunities and a space for low physical activity, which presently does not exist in St. George. I want to make a parenthesis here to actually mention one thing. We have a great gymnasium at Fundy High School, which is grossly underutilized in the evenings. There have been many attempts by many to convince the school board or the province to open it up in the evenings when it's not used. There have been no cooperation. This kind of recommendation has been put forward by previous work that has been done in this town, and the Service Commission actually has actually, some of these recommendations have come under the auspices of work that you have initiated. But the fact is that right now, the only viable physical activity that seniors can pursue is one that involves the hazard of slipping. So having an indoor walking track deals with this hazard there. Can I have the next one, please? I just want to speak about the opportunity. And it's, I have to admit that the timing is very much influenced by the crisis that we're in. This program has been announced 10 days ago, and essentially it's called the Canada Community Revitalization Fund. And it's a $500 million national infrastructure program to revitalize communities across Canada. And the programs funded under this program receive funding to cover 75% of the cost, up to $1 million. So potentially we are talking about a non-repayable contribution to fund projects up to $1 million level. And as I said, you know, the funding contribution is non-repayable. Next one, please. Some of the examples that they are mentioned in the program that the ACOA is receiving applications right now include community and cultural centers. I assume this one here is a community center and a cultural center, and multi-purpose centers. And actually, the ACOA program has this picture. It's just a picture of a library and I guess some disabled people who are able to access it. Next one, please. The important thing to note is, because this funding is tied up to COVID and getting things started again after the economy is supposed to start, there are some tight deadlines to apply for this program. And the deadline is that the applications have to be submitted electronically. I assume the office is open, it's closed at 23:59 at midnight, but July 23, midnight Pacific Standard Time is the deadline. So it's a fairly tight deadline to actually put an application in. Next one, please. So just to summarize the goal would be to add to this place a linked but detached building that will meet the recreational needs of seniors for indoor walking space during the winter by providing a walking track, and a space where seniors and non-seniors can do some light physical activity, calisthenics, stretching, etc. The second goal is to relocate the town library to a new space that will be accessible to disabled persons and to seniors, and allow the community benefits of library access, including high-speed internet, by those who cannot afford it. I have been a few times around here, and I have seen several teenagers just parking outside using the internet, the Wi-Fi. So there are young and not so young people who actually have that need in our community. And I also like to actually include in this application the fact that this library is not a place only for books, but will have like a room where can be used for drawing classes, displaying art produced by local community, or having art classes, whether these are making jewelry or making drawings or whatever. Sometimes I believe a previous councillor has accused the council of being too much focused on arts and crafts. I believe it is not a slander to have a space for arts and crafts in our community. It enriches our community and is part of our future. So I like to structure the newly constructed space to allow also for a coffee stand. A coffee stand is just a concession space, a little place where visitors can buy a coffee, and hopefully that will pay some rent that can support the annual operation of the center. Next one, please. So my suggestion is not to commit to this building. I don't expect to actually. I don't expect that we are in a position now to say, oh, we should actually just commit to this building. But my suggestion is to actually endeavor to capture the opportunity to put an application in. So that would require by July 22 to have developed the design that will seek to accommodate the community needs that I have identified a new space for a library, a room for arts and crafts, and an indoor walking track. And I would like to put in our design requirements that the design must aim to reduce construction and operating costs by making use of existing washroom facilities and reception areas at the Magadevic. That can significantly reduce the cost of the overall facility and reduce the operating cost because it will have a single reception for the whole community center. So on July 27, before midnight, I want to be in a position that this town can file an application and define the scope of the projects and the standards that our project must meet. Standards are a whole list of things, include snow loads and wind loads and other things that my friend Alex can add to the list. But fundamentally, we went through the application with several residents and with Jason, and we found out that fundamentally we meet the key requirements in terms of water and sewer, of no need for variances, anyways. So the next step, if we decide to put that application in parallel, to engage our MLA, who has graciously came to attend today, and to engage our MLA and our provincial government and try to seek co-funding. There are no guarantees that we're going to get the money, neither from ACOA nor from the province. But the strategy would be to actually put a proposal forward and seek partners. Next one, please. I just want to actually scope what may be the cost of preparing an application to ACOA. A large portion of this cost is to actually develop and cost concepts that will meet what we want to achieve as an end goal under the umbrella of, under the cost of $1 million. And of course, with that money, I would like to have a risk assessment for potential cost overruns. So just by talking to a few people who actually know about these things and they are not in the business of earning consulting fees, I believe a CAP application cost for doing that kind of work can be achievable for about $1,000. Next one, please. I just want to actually, as I said before, this kind of application is not intended to compete with any other initiative that has been put forward in the East Charlotte or West Charlotte or Central Charlotte or anywhere in New Brunswick. It's a very limited scope project that deals with two specific needs. The need to actually have a library that's accessible to disabled and to seniors, provide the basic functionality of a library, and secondly, to have an indoor walking track. In the library scope, I added the art thing, which is basically an extra room where you can actually do a drawing class. What is important out of this discussion, if we're going to have a discussion, is two things. One is that if this application is rejected, for first time in this community, we discussed a real need for a library that is accessible by the disabled. I had a discussion with Jason today, and I asked him, if a person in a wheelchair comes to your office and says, how I can go up to the library, and Jason says, sorry, our library is not accessible, does that person have a standing to go to the Human Rights Commission and file a complaint? And we have to actually engage to thousands and thousands of dollars of litigation, paying lawyers to actually defend the fact that we are a poor community and we cannot afford to actually have an accessible library. The second one is, I guess, the discussion that this presentation has initiated, and that presentation has started, I guess, a week ago, has already raised the sensitivity of our community to the fact that we don't have an indoor walking track. And that is the real need that our seniors have. I have spent a few hours with our seniors last week, and this is a real need of the senior community. And a little child that came out of that discussion is that suppose that this application never goes anywhere. The need is still there. And what I hope that this discussion will generate in the weeks ahead, in the months ahead, is until the time we get one of them indoor walking tracks, maybe in our community futures funding that included the lunch for the breakfast for the kids, we may actually allocate some money for our seniors during the winter, once a week, to have a bus that takes them from here to the Garcelon Center. I mean, we are living in Charlotte County. We have the Highway 1 that connects us as a vibrant Charlotte County area, and considering the funding a service or somehow an ability for seniors to once a week go to Garcelon and walk is something that may be one of the children that may be generated from this presentation today. So can I have the next one, please? Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that essentially the information for this presentation became possible because certain people alerted me to actually, even Jim, the president of our seniors group, was a bit aware of this program when I first talked to him, but there were some people who knew about the program and alerted me to the program, and some people who helped me nail some of the costs and some of the ideas, because as I said, you know, a lot of things are fluent now. Like, for example, the walking track. The walking track may not be a building in the classical sense of sticks like this one here. Maybe just a large steel structure like a big greenhouse that surrounds the library, which allows people to walk in the sun. You know, these are concepts, and and these are much lower cost, much lower level, I guess, cost buildings. Like a big greenhouse structure is about 1/5 of a proper construction, but it's still engineered to withstand loads of snow and wind, etc. So Rod Kroluski, who was a former construction superintendent for Simpson Construction, that's the company that actually built the transportation garage here at Mount Pleasant. So he knows a few things about construction. And he's also a current member of the St. George Advisory Committee for Public Works. And the second person was Miss Crystal Cook, who was the former mayor of St. George. She does not need an introduction. And she's currently a member of the Economic Development and Balanced Population Growth Advisory Committee. So that concludes my presentation. I just want to say that what I'm hoping to get out of my presentation today is a motion from the town to accept pursuing an application, not committing to a particular building, but actually pursuing the development of a seniors walking track and a library somewhere here. We had a chat with Jason about where that building may be. We looked at the ball field, and the conceptual design allows the field to be moved by about, how much was it, Jason? 100 feet. We have about 100 feet to move, and together with the space, we have about 130 feet, 140 feet to actually move the field. There are no issues of variances or anything like that. So what I'm hoping is to actually have the council buy into the need that we have identified and file an application. I expect the cost to be less than $1,000. I expect that even if we fail, we will at least have a design package next time our province comes up with a great program, or the federal government comes a great program. Because right now, there is nothing in the books about the fact that we have that library. There is nothing in the books that we don't have a seniors working place. That's it from me. Now, any questions?
I have a couple. Jason, wasn't the Craigs and Scott Boyd and them, weren't they trying to get a walking building done so there would be a walking trail in there?
So that would have been the Eastern Charlotte Inc.
Yes, that's it.
Their hub. So there's a variety of different schemes that were involved in that design, from you know, a meeting area into a fitness area, a library. So there were a few different options within that plan as well. It's still ongoing.
So they're still looking into that too then?
Yeah, they're still
Okay.
active.
I just feel that council really needs to get together and discuss this privately so we can really talk it over and that. Excuse me?
No, just a minute. The question that I'm putting to the, I wish I would have to put a motion on the council, and if somebody can second it, I guess at some point, is whether or not, you mentioned one thing about the Eastern Charlotte work, and I'd like to speak to that one.
Well, no, I remember one time they came to council and brought forward their ideas.
Do you know when that was?
Oh, 3-4 years ago, yeah.
Okay, so we are 4 years from now, and have they talked ever to the seniors? Never. So that is the concern that they have been raised in that discussion, that we are spending a lot of money for sport complexes and sport facilities for our young who have like all sorts of things like, you know, splashes pads, basketball courts, you know, baseball courts, a place for skating. A lot of it is great to have all this, you know, have tennis, and there is absolutely not even talking to the seniors, which are the biggest growing section of our society. So I don't want this thing to be taken as something that will compete with any other plan.
See, I was just asking a question because they did come to council and they did talk to us. So I was just asking, you know, just mentioning it.
How this affects the questions on whether or not we should.
Well, I just don't want it to interfere with something that you think. This is really the emails that I received back and forth, and seeing this tonight was the first time I seen it. So for me to jump in and say, yes, I'm going to put our taxpayers, residents, taxpayers' money into something that some other group is already maybe trying to do. That's what I'm saying, is if another group is trying to do it, and then us trying to do it together, to me that means we're competing against each other. And I just feel, that's how I feel, if that's just the way I feel. So.
Is this organization a
just a minute, please.
Sorry, Lexa, what was that?
No, just a minute, please. Any questions, Sam?
Wait, I got a question.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
You want to make a motion to discuss the proposal that you just made? Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Well, good, let's do it.
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we'll discuss this.
Yes, thank you, Sam. Yeah.
I second it.
Yeah. All in favor to discuss the matter?
Aye.
Okay, so let's discuss the matter. Sam?
Go ahead.
I already
Okay,
said how I
Thank you,
feel.
Sam, for the procedure.
Thank you. First, I've read up a little bit about this proposal, not the proposal you've made, the Government Revitalization Fund as itself. It's a 30-day window, but it's a 2-year project. The way I understand it, after 30 days, people can still apply, but consideration is going to be the ones that are first through the door. It's the way I understand it. And like I say, it's $500 million. It's quite a lot to consider in 30 days. It's quite a lot to even think about, even for us at this point. To make a presentation is we only got 2 weeks. It's quite a lot of undertaking for something that probably should be considered for maybe over a year, 2-3 years, to actually put into motion. The immediate impact to the citizens, we don't know. with the restructuring of government and everything that's going on at this point for us, we're not quite sure. So it's not a bad idea. I guess my question is, library, how much is it used? Does anybody have any numbers?
Well, there are many people here who can tell us about that. I use libraries when I have the opportunities. I go there to read a newspaper. I go there to actually check a reference book. I go there to actually meet someone who likes to be in a library. It's a kind of a club, eclectic club of people who like to be.
If the library was more accessible, you would have a hell of a lot more people go to that library if it was more accessible. 90% of the seniors couldn't climb up the stairs. There's a lot of the people don't even know where the library is.
Thank you, Jim.
With all due respect,
I'd
like to talk.
Just a minute, I'm going to put an order here, so I want to exhaust. Sam is talking, and I'll let us say yes.
I would let the public have their opportunity. I have no problem with that. Yeah. And that was one thing. And I mean, the proposal is a pretty good sized building. And to go that way in Veterans Field, which was given to the town from the Legion for sports use, is my understanding. I may be wrong, maybe Barb may know, where she's covered that maybe a little more than I have. The intrusion on the ball field, to me, that's not acceptable. Over two, maybe, yes. You know, and there's
intrusion, what do you mean?
Over to the ball field, to actually move it where it is, it's just going to make it so small that its actual size is going to be affected. I mean, there are other options. There are other options with this building too. You can go that way a little bit if you had to. You could go up some if you had to.
We cannot go that way. We cannot go that way. But fundamentally, in my proposal is to actually respect the size of the field.
Yeah, and you want to add on and go that way.
Yes, move the field. Move the field. Yeah. But Nancy, finish?
Oh, sir, thank you.
Yeah. Nancy.
I have some reservations about the application. I have reservations about putting the town in a financial position where the residents' tax base is going to go up. I have reservations about right now asking for funding for a library. I understand the senior's concern. I'm a senior, and I couldn't get up those stairs. I'm also saying that if I want, it's been about 2.5 years since I purchased a book or gone to a library because I use the internet, I use the computer, and I'm not tech savvy. I lovingly refer to myself as a dumb blonde who's really a brunette. But the thing is that most of the people in the community, there's the last survey or report that was done, 15% were seniors, 15% were teenagers or the younger group, 70% of the population were people like you out there, the working group. And those people are so tech savvy, their little kids know more than either you or I, your worship, to know how to use an iPhone. No. But my concern is that should we be looking at funding for not just a library, but looking at affordable housing, because you have to have people to come into a community in order to use these facilities, and they can't come into a community if they don't have any place to live. To me, our council should be looking at affordable housing. When I mean affordable housing, I mean for singles, young families, senior groups. And as I said, I'm a senior, so I know that I would be just like that person on your presentation. I'd be down and out and laying in the sidewalk if I tried to walk outside in the wintertime, because I'm just like a cow on ice, to put it bluntly. But I think that we've got to look at this proposal, and as Sam had pointed out, it's been going on or will be going on for approximately 2 years, and I know if you put in your proposal right now, fast, you have a better chance. But should we not look at other things that we need in the town more? That's just my honest opinion. We need housing.
We need doctors.
We need doctors.
Yeah, we need better hospitals.
Yeah, we need infrastructure.
We need police to police our streets that they are full of speeders.
Exactly.
More policemen.
And we've got pipes that are in the ground that are almost 100 years old.
The topic, I just want to actually, if you can actually comment on whether or not this need of having a walking track and a library is something that we should be at least considering it and spending some money to see how much it's going to cost us, how much How many people want it? Ask the question to the community, because we have consultants who got nearly $100,000 of taxpayers' money, and so far they have not even talked to a senior. And that is disgraceful.
No, I understand what you're saying, Your Worship, but I think right now that funding is great, but the town or the group of people are going to have to come up with $250,000 in addition to the $750,000 that has been guaranteed by the government. So if we're on the hook for $250,000, no, just let me finish. If we have to come up with the other portion to make the $100,000, and where are we going to come up with that other than, A, if we can get the province, who right now is probably in dire straits as well, if we can get them to come up with it, and if we can get the community behind us and get organizations to help fund the $200,000, and if we get that all in, what's going to happen to our tax base? That's what I'm concerned about. I'm a senior on a fixed income. I can't afford an extra couple $100 on my tax bill every year. And yes, again, I agree with Jimmy that the seniors do have to be approached, but we've got to do it in a logical manner. We can't go off half-cocked, to put it bluntly, and put in for something that the council as a whole has to know more about it before we can do it. That's just my opinion.
And I do not propose that we do it. I do not propose that we do it. And one thing that I would like to actually correct you is that the province is bankrupt, but they already spent close to $100,000 on a consultant to produce reports that no one does anything with them.
Yeah, but that's
so
not
that,
our problem.
That's what I'm
province.
saying.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Barbara?
I think it's a wonderful idea. I just think it's way too soon to do it. I would love to have a library. I would love to have a library, but this is, I think we're racing into something we have absolutely no idea what it's actually going to cost. And I do believe that we are, I'm an avid reader and I'm a volunteer at the library, and I struggle up those stairs whenever I go up there. But I think we're sort of racing to get something that is not going to be quite what we want. I think it's going to be, you know, I understand what you're getting at. It's lovely to have a library, but I just think the group, the Eastern Charlotte Community Development Plan, they have a really nice plan for what they want for a hub, and that was going to include a lot of other things. And I think we're going the other way, and we're just doing something strictly for St. George that we're going to have to pay for in our taxes. And I would prefer to see us sit back a little bit and decide exactly what was said earlier and study this. I don't think we should rush into it and put in an application, because I don't think we've thought through enough. There's too many other things that could be going on. I'm sorry, I couldn't really support it in that sense.
One point I want to correct here, Barbara, is that we are already paying for the Blacks Harbor. This town is paying for the Blacks Harbor Arena.
And so we should, because we have
exactly.
people to go there.
So potentially, if we have something for citizens from Blacks Harbor can come and walk, they will be paying their share. So that is neither here nor there.
Paying their share in what? They wouldn't be paying it in their taxes. We'd be paying it in our taxes.
No, I'm saying right now, Blacks Harbor is paying something for this place here.
Not quite sure where you're getting it there.
Okay. Next
one.
Yes, please.
I understand there's a lot of pressure right now because we're on a deadline, but I would like to echo what the mayor said. You know, we are eligible to apply, and if we don't do so, we'll miss a big opportunity. And if we do get approval for the funding, it's not necessarily that we have to pursue it. It's just another option to look at. And I don't see any harm in actually applying for something. It's essentially free money. So, and that would further enrich our community. So that's my stance on it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, well, first of all, I really am all for progress and for growth in our community, and I understand the demographics. I know that we have a growing population of seniors. I understand that. But really, I think that we need to go, we need to do more. We need a viability study. We need to complete what the need and the true need of the community really is. Yes, maybe it is a library, maybe it's not. You know, is it actually a walking track? We don't know. We have not sat down and done what is it that we truly need. And, you know, is there a need even, again, to support this type of building? Because we have a building, we have one here, and we have other areas within the community that we could possibly look at. We have no idea what the primary design of this building is going to look like. We have no idea what it's going to cost. We have no idea what it's going to, how it's going to operate, who's going to run it, who's going to, you know, clean it, who's going to do all those things that need to be done in order to maintain that building. Has an application, or have you had conversation with the Southwest New Brunswick Commission in terms of what is it that we can in fact build? Can we even attach something to this building?
Yes.
And then, of course, there's the size. You know, I know that you want to look at, through a conversation, of different types of prefabricated and all that kind of thing, just in order to keep the cost down. But even then, we have no idea. We just don't know what it is we want to do here. And in terms of the ball field, I have to stand with Councillor Rubin. I do not support sacrificing not even a little bit of the ball field. I don't feel that that's appropriate in any way. We're responsible. We've been put in this position and responsible for the community and for the residents of this community. And part of our responsibility is not to be fruitless and to be very frugal with the dollars that we are in stewardship of. And I really feel that we are not ready at this time to spend a dime on anything. We need more information. And in terms of the final statement around you going ahead and donating the $1,000 to do that, you are certainly within your rights to do whatever you want in terms of your own personal ideas and going forward and doing your application, but I will not support the tax receipt on that.
Can you explain that further, please?
I just feel that it would be setting a precedent that I'm not prepared to I'm not prepared to set.
So essentially, the mayor cannot donate $1,000 for to explore a possibility that the seniors may want a walking track or a library.
The mayor can donate whatever he wants.
But
what I'm saying, I'm not supporting the tax receipt.
Provide the tax receipt.
I'm not supporting that.
Okay. So, I think we covered it. There is a possibility to actually have. Can I ask the Jason if we have two meetings coming up, July 19 and August 3, right? The July 19 is a hearing, so it does not. Can I ask the hearing scope can include receiving input from the community on two things as opposed to one?
You could, yes.
So essentially, potentially, like a great thing because. You know, maybe we are climbing, you know, horses that we should not be climbing. The community has to speak on if we have that need or not. So maybe if we're going to set up a July 19 hearing for the municipal restructuring, we can also solicit the community's input on what I have proposed, and we can make a decision. So what I would move is to table the matter and introduce this subject to our community to speak on July 19. Anybody has any objection to that one? I would like to move it forward. Can I have a motion on that one, please? To table the matter and have a hearing issue added on the July 19 hearing. That we have just
I'll make that motion that we do that for July the 19th.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. Anybody seconded?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. How we are doing now?
No,
Sorry.
we can, that's it.
Yes.
Correspondence.
Yes, correspondence. Correspondence, letter from residents of Hillcrest subdivision on road condition of Armstrong Crescent. I'm sorry, Sage. Jason.
Just a recent letter from a resident in Hillcrest subdivision speaking on the matter of the Armstrong Crescent Road. Just highlighting some of the observations that they've made with that road deteriorating. Just sort of talking about just the need to sort of address these. As made earlier in the meeting, there is some patching that will be going on some of the very dire areas of Armstrong Crescent. That is sort of planned right now. Certainly, with our gas tax fund, we've postponed the work for this year, and Armstrong Crescent is on that plan for 2023 as it stands right now. So there's always the options of readdressing the gas tax plan and bumping Armstrong Crescent ahead. So
Can I ask, there was one project who was slated for this year that will not happen because of construction of a plant at the industrial park. So everything has moved up, right?
everything would just get postponed until next year when we can do all the work.
So essentially the work at Salar Court is?
Yes.
Yeah, so that will not happen this year because they are doing construction
Right.
there. So that does not allow us to move everything up?
No, we would just postpone the work
So
to 2022.
we postpone the whole
Yes.
train,
Yes,
not only that project.
yes.
Why that?
Because that's sort of the plan. The last year of that gas tax plan, we will have an accumulated remainder to do some of the projects that were going to be done in the final year of the gas tax plan. So that's why they were done sort of staggered that way. So there's a little bit of money that was going to go to Solar Court this year. There's going to be the balance next year. There's going to be some work done on, I believe, the Manor Road. Forgive me, I don't know it, but there was a little bit of balance that was going to be left for that. And then in the last year, with Armstrong Crescent, there was 2 projects that were going to be done there, and there was going to be some balances. So that's why everything would just get postponed.
Any questions?
Yeah, could I ask a question? If Solar Court is being postponed and the monies from that is not going to be used to pay that, can that be put towards whatever Hillcrest or the Armstrong Crescent? I guess I have a vested interest. I live on Hillcrest subdivision, and Armstrong Crescent, Armstrong is really in bad shape. And if we don't do something sooner, it's going to cost us more to fix it later. That's just my opinion, but I'm just wondering, like with the monies, can it be shifted around to do the proper paving, patch job, or whatever your technical term? Sam would be able to tell me what I should be saying, but can you explain to me?
Definitely, yeah, we would just have to just modify the gas tax plan and bump and basically take Armstrong Crescent and move it towards this year. We could do that and look at the time. I guess we could look at all the whole remainder of the gas tax plan and see where we're going to be.
Yeah. But you had mentioned when I had questioned you that you were waiting for other quotes to come in from paving companies in order to be able to say how much it was going to cost to do this Armstrong Crescent.
That's right.
And
yeah.
you have, do you know when you might be able to?
As of right now, some of the ones that we were originally budgeting in 2023, I think it was $90,000. Some of the early quotes we have right now are about $80,000. Oddly enough, they've gone down a bit. I'm not sure what that is. It's the same company. But, so yes, I'm certainly still looking at getting a couple other quotes to see just what that is. We typically do that anyways with paving work. We'll go through and just sort of know here are the roads that we've got planned. Let's just update some of the quotes. But that's sort of what we're doing as well with Armstrong Crescent, just to update that too.
So there is a possibility that you could switch from A to B, as my favorite expression is,
Definitely.
rob Peter to pay Paul this time.
Yep, this council can certainly approve a ratification of that plan, and you know, it was last approved, I believe, in 2019.
I don't know, I made a presentation a number of years ago between, I think it was Mayor Cook was on there, and probably Councillor Allison.
2019.
Yeah.
So yeah, so certainly it can be brought forward, and council can change that plan.
I have
in order.
one question that touches a bit on what you're saying. We have spent money to retain an engineering company that did an assessment of our road conditions. And they came up with this plan, which set up a sequence and a priority. What is the worst, what is the best? So I totally agree with Nancy that if for some reason things have happened for which we cannot follow the plan, then Salar goes to the bottom and everything moves up. So potentially, you know, because we have all, what I'm trying to avoid is having the squeakier wheel always getting the grease and not necessarily have an objective evaluation, which we pay to have it. We have we pay CBCL was to actually did an assessment of our roads and prioritize. So we should stick to that unless there is, you know, like something is moved, so everything moves up.
Yeah, I understand that, but if something, as I said, the road is deteriorating worse than what the company, what the assessment was, then can we look at maybe switching things around? But if not, then that's understandable too.
Definitely. We can certainly bring that forward to the August meeting with the gas tax plan and change that plan and timeline and certainly do that. Yeah, it's certainly doable.
We don't have to take any action now.
No. Certainly, I guess if we're looking at the you know, that it's the intent of council to sort of bring the gas tax plan, you know, the plan back out and maybe ratify that, certainly we wouldn't be investing, you know, large sums of money in patchwork on that road this year. So, you know, so we would probably at that point just say, you know, the patchwork would be very minimal, at least to get us through a month or so.
Yeah, I mean, don't spend money needlessly on patching it if it needs to be all resurfaced.
Is there any deadline about construction work?
No. As long as the asphalt plants are open, and they typically will stay open until late October.
Okay. Any other question on this? Yeah, go ahead.
I said, in regards to our correspondence, this came directly from a resident from Hillcrest. Now, do we respond back to her with the plan?
We'll certainly say that it's been addressed here in council, and say that, you know, what we're the steps that we're going to take. Definitely, yes, yeah.
Okay. Next item in correspondence was correspondence regarding a crosswalk at St. George Elementary School. Jason, you want to introduce it?
Yeah. Yes, Your Worship. So this was just a one single correspondent that was brought in. And just sort of highlighted that this person has a concern with the crosswalk at the elementary school. There's a crosswalk there currently. They feel that the crosswalk probably should be moved a little bit closer towards the elementary school. So that's sort of just, I guess, the overall summary of what they're looking for. So we do have a couple issues. One is moving that crosswalk directly across the road from the elementary school, puts it into Vance's Garage or that entrance to the mall. So it certainly doesn't make the situation any better. It makes it worse. It's a very busy area for vehicle repair and vehicles coming in and out of there. I'm sure any residents that have used that entrance or exit into the mall that knows that it's tight. And introducing a crosswalk is not something we'd ever recommend. That's the reason why where it's at today. The other option is moving the crosswalk a little bit closer. But putting the crosswalk into the island. There's a bit of an island that's there, a grassy area at the parking lot, and we'd put the crosswalk into that. So there's a couple situations with that. One, you know, that would cost some money because we would have to put a drop down in the sidewalk on the school side and a drop down into the island at the mall. And then not only just the funding side of things, but we would have to seek permission from the mall to at least take one of the parking spots, if not two. and I'm not so necessarily sure that that's what they would be willing to do. Just some brief discussions with them. I mean, using it's not necessarily would be used for business at the mall. It would be used for people to park there and go to the school. So it seems like there's really the issue is lying that, unfortunately parents can't go to the school to pick up their children, or going into a private property or a public property, but it's privately owned, and walking across there. So there is the possibility of doing that. Again, I'd have to look at talking with the mall ownership to see if they're willing to entertain losing at least 1 to 2 parking spots, and then sort of at that point looking at what a cost would be to drop down some of the sidewalks. So
I have something to add to what Jason said before I open the floor. There was a third option that we considered with Jason that he has not mentioned, and that is the one of hiring a crossing guard. Okay, since Stephen is doing it, and that is an option. It's going to cost money, taxpayers' money.
Unless you approach the home and school and ask them if they want to
fund it.
Not fund it, but if they have people that would like to volunteer to be a crossing guard certain days of the week. Even the seniors, those that are able to.
We should get them the walking track.
The ones that can walk the track. Yeah. But they could be able to maybe go and volunteer their time to stand at the crosswalk and let the little children go across. Yes. I have reservations about changing the actual crosswalk up further and having it go into the parking lot, because children being children, they're going to let go of their parents' hands and they're going to dart across, and next thing you know, there's going to be a car come in and it's going to hit some of those little, I call them ankle biters, I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but they're going to hit one of those children in that parking lot, and then they're going to say, well, the town moved that crosswalk. I'm going with a crossing guard and asking for volunteers through home and school, or the seniors group. James, you could stand out there, and at Christmas time you can dress like Santa Claus.
Since we give them the walking track, they will pay us back by volunteering, right?
Yeah. But that is an option that we could look at.
Jason, I want to ask you, is there a third option of going to the province or the school board and say, these kids are your responsibility. If I have chickens in my yard and they run into the road and somebody steps on them, it's my responsibility. A 5-year-old is the responsibility of the child and is entrusted to the care of the school. So should the school put someone out there to make sure that the kids will not cross the road?
Yeah, just looking and talking with St. Stephen for their crossing guard, it's something the municipality takes care of.
Correct. All I'm saying is just because St. Stephen made a mistake, we should not be repeating it. So should an appropriate action would be to actually go to the Minister of Education and warn him that there is a problem when they don't take care of the little kids that the parents entrusted to the care of the school, and they can run into the because I think that we are getting too many liabilities from the province on our backs, and we should actually stand up and say, these kids were entrusted to the elementary school. Put a guard there who will make sure that they will not cross the road, and then will not have to pay for the crossing guard, because he needs about 6 hours a day to actually deal with 6 hours. Minimum wage is about 60 times. It's about $120 a day, all together with tax and all that. So that's an option.
I just have a question. I don't understand why we can't walk down to the crosswalk that's already there. Is there a reason why we can't? It's not very far.
That's
There's
right.
a crosswalk already there.
That would certainly be option one, definitely.
But I don't understand. I just wonder why nobody just walks down to the crosswalk.
But kids.
No, yes, I appreciate it.
Kids are kids, and get out and just nail biters, you say?
Ankle biters.
Ankle biters. Okay, these biters get out and just cross. Okay, so I believe it's worthwhile to actually writing back to the principal and CC Minister of Education to say that there is a problem, and that it may not be necessarily the town's responsibility to take care of these ankle biters when they run away. So go ahead, Sam.
I think the minute the child's picked up by the parent, it's their responsibility.
Absolutely.
Once they leave the grounds,
Absolutely.
it's the parents' responsibility at that point.
Absolutely, yes. But there are kids also who.
And I understand what you're saying. If there's 2 or 3, it can be pretty hectic.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's worthwhile sending a letter to the
Yeah, I
school.
mean, I think, certainly going back to this, the person, they're not the principal, but, this person that's raised this issue and saying that they should certainly take the matter up with the school or the school district or Department of Education. Certainly we could do that. I'm not even sure if that's actually been the case. Maybe this person has already done that and raised this issue. I think more or less they're just...
No, they have not. It's just a concerned parent.
Yeah.
The person who wrote to us, a concerned parent, works at LePro, and she wrote to me because she respects my safety sensibilities. Yeah. And I responded, I'm going to bring it to your attention. So I think let's put an action to actually write a letter to the school and say, is that your responsibility?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, certainly.
Okay. Statements by members of council, if any.
Public appearances, public first.
Oh, public, I'm sorry. Thank you. A senior moment. A senior moment. James? Yes, that's why I joined the club. Statements by members of the public.
You can't read that, can you?
Public presentations. So this is an opportunity for the public to actually take the podium for a 5-minute talk without interruptions and without debate. So how many people want to speak today? Have 1, have 2, have 3, have 4, have 5. Any other one? We have only 5 people, so it's only, in 25 minutes we'll be out of here. Let's start from the right. Okay, so you're the first one from the right who wants to speak? Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yes, please.
Okay. This isn't a presentation, I would say. My name's Amanda. I'm working at the food bank this summer. And as such, I'm running the garden program. So I have been doing 2 gardens behind the center, the food bank center. And we have 10 beds at the community garden. So this is just to bring awareness to the fact that the community garden is very underutilized. I'm not coming here as a critic. I'm just a passionate gardener. And if you're not familiar with the community garden, there are 20 beds, 15 large beds that are 4 by 15, and 4 beds that are, I guess, about 5 by 5. And out of those 20 beds, there are 5 that are being leased, and I am personally planting 10. So I'm just, I guess, coming to say that the town is already maintaining this space. It's a beautiful space, and it has a lot of potential. And I hope to bring forth a proposal for a different configuration to see it more utilized. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if the council got mixed up on what you were saying or not, but what I understood was that ACOA money, you were just going to put in for it, and see if you get the grant. If you get it, you didn't have to utilize it. Nothing saying you got to use that money. So all you want to do is put the application in to see that you were going to get that money before the time ran out. That's what I understood. Now, that's not saying you got to use that money. Or you can tell ACOA, hey, we changed our mind, we don't want it, or whatever. But you just wanted to put it in with the timeline, so you wouldn't get a chance to lose it before you even get anything done. I mean, there's nothing I can see that would hinder council or the town or anybody in the community that you put the application in. That's not saying you got to use that money or you're even going to take it. All it's saying that you get your application in, the council's going to have their meeting, decide, hey, we don't want it. Forget about it. That's your guys' decision. But I think you're missing the vote if you turn down $750,000. Nothing say you got to use it for that, but you might need it for something else in the town. You're crazy not to go after it. Alcoa is willing to give it to you. I mean, first the $250,000 that the town got to come up with, there's all kinds of fundraisers that we all could help out with. The seniors could help out. I'm sure the Legion would help out. There's different organizations in this town that would help out to raise the $250,000 so the tax base won't come up. But you're crazy not to take the $750,000 that's offered to you in your hand. There's nothing saying that's all. I understood, John, from you is you just want to get the application in before it's too late. This window of opportunity, I seen it on the computer, and I mentioned it to John. If you don't take that money, or try to get it anyway, and if you don't want it, just tell Alcoa we changed our mind. Council decided, no, we're not going to go with this project. But at least put the application in. You got nothing to lose. You're welcome.
I neglected to say that the seniors, when I visited them, had offered us $400 for the project, out without anything. Next one, Tracy, you have the floor.
I was just writing some notes, and so with regards to the application to Alcoa, I just wanted to share some facts, and I have 5 facts, so 5 minutes. First, I just wanted to express, I'm so excited about your enthusiasm for, and the vision for sure, and it is, and I want you guys all to know, and I want the public to know that it is a shared vision for the region, absolutely. For those of us who live outside of St. George, are very much invested in the town where our kids go to school, where we recreate, where we shop. It is a shared vision for sure. Fact number 1, consultants were hired, absolutely. Consultants were hired to put together all of the information from the numerous public engagement sessions over the last 5 to 6 years. There have been numerous public engagement sessions, including seniors, all residents from the entire Eastern Charlotte region, which is approximately 11,000 residents. And those consultants were hired to put together all of that information in a legible format that we can understand and read. And it was overwhelmingly, you will see it's overwhelmingly agreed that a walking track for our seniors, an accessible library, and even a coffee stand are included in, or were identified, absolutely, in, by the consultants. Fact number 2, there are 2 public reports. I trust you've all read them already. I hope if you haven't, you do your due diligence and read them. Those to get up to speed, just get up to speed about what the last 5 to 6 years have and what research has been done and collaboration so that we don't spend another minute really wasted on time that or work that's already been done. So there's 2 reports. One is the Recreation Master Plan. The second one is the Eastern Charlotte Cost Sharing Feasibility Study. They're very lengthy, but the information, facts, statistics are all there. Coming out soon, there will also be a 3rd report, which is the final report from the Community Development of Eastern Charlotte, Inc. It was just finalized. It is awaiting the board's approval before being presented to councils and LSDs and the RSC. Although it is a fact that members, some of that information in the final report has been shared with mayors already and members of the RSC. Fact number 3, there are no secret groups. There is no one that is working against the town of St. George or any other municipality or any region. There are only dedicated volunteers that have worked countless hours for progress The majority of those volunteers that have continuously worked, yes, probably fall into Councillor Colton's 70% statistic of working community or working people who have aging parents, and the other 15%, and who also have children in the other 15%. So no secret groups. Fact number 4, there is a process. The process is painfully slow. Absolutely. Many volunteers, like I said, have worked countless hours on working on projects and programs and partnerships that will significantly benefit the 1,400 residents that you have all been elected to represent. Significantly. The entire region has asked for more. We want for St. George to have more. We are getting there, but there is a process. Please trust the process. Fact number 5 is there is a cost, as Mayor or Councillor Armstrong mentioned, there is a cost to build. There is a cost to maintain. There is a cost for the computers. There is a cost for the furniture. There is a cost to operate. There's a cost to have calisthenics. There's a cost to have books. There is a cost. And that cost is far greater than the $1 million that is being proposed for the library and a walking track and a coffee stand. And I know that's, sorry, number 6. I said I was going to only do 5, but Fundy Middle High School is not underutilized. That is a fact. In the report, you will see the data. In closing, I just, before spending any more time or energy or money, or before making any decision or expressing support for or against a project or a partnership, I just hope you do your due diligence. Read the information that's already there. Thank you.
Next.
So, I am a senior. I don't like to admit it, but I am. I've worked with Alan and yourself, John Pointe-Pro, and I've known Jimmy quite well. Do I think we need, oh, sorry. Most of the time people are telling me to be quiet. So, sorry, I guess, first of all, Your Worship, Deputy Mayor and Councils, thanks for volunteering your time and doing this thankless job. Without people who are willing to step up in local government, well, we'd have even more chaos. But I guess the thing I'd like to talk about is the youth in our community. Does everybody remember, or anybody remember, why we built the Macadavic Place? Barb, you may have covered the story. So it was in around the 2002-03 time frame, and my 2 boys were born in '99 and 2001. And my boss let me come because there was going to be a march from the Fundy High School by the kids. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it was one of the first Walk for Mental Health days, and it was talking about what we had for our community and didn't have, and what facilities we had and didn't have. And shortly after that, the mayor at the time was Stan Smith. I believe Sheldon Lee was just finishing his last term or so. That would have been, I think, Sheldon finished in 2003, and Rick came in, Mr. Doucette came in shortly after that. So Stan started it. Next mayor, I believe, was Sharon, and the next MLA was Rick Doucette, and we got the money to build this place because we had no facilities and recreation, community center, et cetera, for the kids. So do I think we need a walking track for people like me? Absolutely. Do I think we need a library, even though I'll never go to it? Yes. The more we can get for our area, the better we will be. The hardest job I had in my life was being a parent. And, you know, I saw kids like Brady Tebow. We believe he's passed away. He's a kid that was in between my 2 boys, Blair and Connor, and he'd play soccer with them every summer. He got tangled up with the Ram crowd, and they believe he was murdered in Fredericton. He's from St. Stephen. Kids that graduated with my 2 boys, you know, one's at University of Toronto, one's at at St. Yves's, kids that graduated with him have already returned from drug rehab. That's amazing, sad to me. So, do we need things for the seniors, people like me? Yes. But I believe this facility was built so that we could have programs for our future and our youth. And the most difficult job I had, and my wife had as a school teacher, was being a parent. My two boys had two engaged, loving parents. We made lots of mistakes, but lots of kids don't have that. And I believe our number one thing that we have to ensure is adequately supported is our young families and young kids. So let's, hey, I don't care about my taxes. If they go up a little bit and we can help somebody like Brady Tebow and keep kids that I think are great kids and just went down the wrong path from drug rehab, and we have a huge drug problem in this area. It's huge. Our biggest issue isn't a place for me and Jim to go for a walk. Our biggest issue is mental health, drugs, and the crisis that we have for the youth and the families, I believe. And we need support for the youth and the families.
Thank you. Next one, please. Okay.
First of all, I'd just like to compliment the council for supporting the coastal link. I think that's amazing. We're going to get some beautiful groomed trails. I think some of those are going to be paved, I believe, Jason. I mean, we're able to get out and get rid of this COVID expansion we've got in the last year, but this is going to be great. As far as your library goes and your walking trail, I'm 100% behind a library. I think every community needs a good library. We need facilities to exercise in and do all sorts of things. I think one of your challenges here is trying to build it on this specific property. And I think that, you asking for $1,000 to help fill out an application form, I think that's a little bit premature, only because there's no concept done, there's no viability study done, there's no pricing done, all those types of things. And, if you were looking for a multi-use facility that could help kids and help all kinds of people in our region, Crystal Cook, under her leadership back a couple of years ago, took the initiative to address the outdoor adventure center down there and come up with a multi-use event center where a Riverside Marketplace it was called, but there was a complete business plan completed. There was conceptual drawings completed, cost analysis, designs were all completed, and that would have been truly a success story. And there would have been abundant space for walking trails, for all kinds of activities, plus a library, if you ever wanted to do that. So you might want to consider, if you want to get an application in quick, it's already done. All you got to do is fill out the form. The business plan is there. The drawings are there. Everything is there for a multi-use facility that will handle everything you're talking about here.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Next one.
I think I'm the last one. I will be very brief, okay?
5 minutes.
Okay, less than 5 minutes. My name is Nafsika, and I have been a member of the Eastern Charlotte Community Development Plan since the March of 2020, and I want to address you, Tracy, about this plan. And I will answer the questions to Tracy. This piece of paper, this is a phase number 3 or 2? 3. This has costed to the taxpayers' money over $70,000 to produce this paper, and nobody in this community knows what this paper is all about. All these proposals that they are over here, okay, nobody knows what it is. We don't have any concrete plant.
whatsoever, and no one from this committee went to speak to the seniors they actually need. And that's very, very concerning. So here we are. We have an opportunity to apply to a COA to get some funding, 75% coverage of the cost, and we don't want to do it. There's something wrong. It's only a matter of a couple of days to sit down, make a proposal, and see if we can do it or not. We don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars in order to make a proposal. Let's do it, and if it doesn't, if it is not approved, that's fine. If it is approved, then, okay, we have an option again not to accept or not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, the date of our next regular meeting is Monday, August 9, at 7 p.m. in this place. Yes. I think we covered that. Oh, we don't. I'm sorry. I thought we covered them. Are there any statements? Are there any statements from the council?
I have a couple just to let everybody know. Repeat Boutique, that was in Blacks Harbor, yesterday was their anniversary, but they outgrew the building, and now they are in the lower mall in St. George. They had the grand opening on Saturday, and there's lots of good deals and everything, and hope everybody will get out and support them. Also, if you're looking for a card that says from St. George, a family card or a miss you card, go to the dollar store. There's all kinds, and it says from St. George. So go there and purchase the cards. They're really good. Some are funny, some are really downright serious and that. So I just wanted to let people know that those two items were available in our town.
Thank you.
In reference to Fund the Arena.
Yes.
Your comments were that they support, we support them. We donate every year to rink operation is the money that we give them. I just want to clarify that. And the meeting on the 19th concerning restructuring of government, during orientation, there's a little bit there, and the government is going to have sessions, I believe, with the LSDs to get views, whatever they're going to have. Ours concerning the town, it'd be pretty hard for us to represent someone in an LSD at this point if they're saying to us, well, how much is our tax? We don't know that. This is the facts that we want to find at this point. So our main concern is our town residents, because we don't know what our role is going to be should things take place. And like I say, that I believe the government's going to go to the LSDs to have their views and later present what their options might be. Thank you.
I've said basically what I had to say, so I'm going to stay quiet.
I just want to follow up on what Sam said, that we have several LSDs around us. I have a meeting next week, this week, to actually with the Penfield and the Back Bay LSD. Yes, they will meet the minister, but they also want to convey to the town their concerns, and whether or not this is going to sway us in any ways, it's up to the council to actually hear them and see if there is any need to actually accommodate or persuade them. But that's it. Barbara.
No, I don't have anything. The only thing I'd say about the green paper is I don't think, there's anything specific proposed in there, so it's hard to comment, the green paper on amalgamation.
St. John and Frederick already done it.
I know, but there's no actual specific, there's nothing listed that's, what they want to, they're just giving you different scenarios and they're suggesting we could do this, we could do that, but there's nothing actually to say, yeah, we go with this or yeah, we go with that. That's the only thing I'd say.
If you consult, you can say, I don't eat broccoli.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, that's
it's
all.
just a consultation.
Yeah.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out, and Amanda, oh, she's gone, appreciate the work that she's doing at the community garden, and I look forward to her proposal, because I agree with her on that it is underutilized, and I have a heart for gardening as well, so girl after my own heart. And for everyone else who got up to bring forth their thoughts and opinions, we appreciate those, and we appreciate the support that we get here in everyone coming out and going through this with us. Thank you.
Closing remark before we leave, before I adjourn, is I want to thank our MLA for coming and attending our meeting today. And I want just to suggest that perhaps after we come up with our position on what to be our input to the consultation process, we should invite our MLA and the minister to actually hear our opinion, if we're going to have one. So, and with that said, I would like to adjourn the meeting.